One of the verses that's brought up a lot with giving is that God wants a cheerful giver.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting about that particular passage is I've heard it used as an excuse to say, well, because I'm not cheerful, I'm not going to engage this principle or this discipline. So if I'm sitting over here a little bit begrudging, but maybe God's nudging a little bit, like, what should I do with that? Maybe I'm not happy about changing my habits, changing my disciplines, giving up 10% of my income. How do I navigate that pathway, Jeff?
So I would say two or three things about that. One is, as a father, I want cheerful children, but I want obedient children. And so money is one of the greatest idols in our life. That's why Jesus talks about it so much, and then why it's written about in every book of the Bible. And you see failings with it in every book of the Bible. It's one of the greatest idols of our life. So I would want you to obey. I would want my children to obey, and I would like them to do that cheerfully, right? So I think we need to obey God with our finances, because there are times that giving doesn't feel good. There's times that it would be a lot nicer just to have that boat, or it'd be a lot nicer, or it's tight this month or whatever. So we just have to admit that it doesn't always feel good. But God would say, I want this to be an act of gratitude for you. And I want you the point of the tithe is not to focus on the 10%, it's actually to focus on the 90. So that's a part of it. Now, I would also say this. These might be contradictory statements, so forgive me if they are. I would also say, if you're kicking and screaming and you're giving so that God doesn't, make you go bald and you get transferred to Michigan, kind of a thing, you just hate it, but you feel obligated, I would look at you and say, keep it. Keep it. God doesn't need it. The Bible is very clear that if God wants your money, he'll just take it from you. There's lots of examples of that in the Bible. Keep it. If you have a nefarious purpose behind it, you're trying to manipulate God or get control over something, keep it. You see the cheerful givers in the New Testament, where a church is impoverished but they're eager to give. You also see Ananias and Sapphira, who gave big checks but lied about it, faked it, and God literally struck them dead. So I'm like, if your heart and your gratitude, I'm not talking about being difficult, because we all have to do things that is hard sometimes. I'm talking about, like, you just have an attitude. Keep it. Gain the world. You'll probably lose your soul in the process, and not because you didn't give, but because you couldn't see the love or the provision of Christ. I don't know how you can look at Jesus, who suffered and died and provided your salvation, and then say to him, I'm really mad that you're asking me for 10% of the things you give me. I don't know how you do that math.